Right, welcome back to the big question. Now, the latest Kapedo killings have stung the government into a security operation in search of the culprits and stolen guns. The reaction is provoking a barrage of criticism and support amid claims and denials of security officers' excesses against innocent civilians. Tonight on the big question, we're asking, is the government handling insecurity in the country effectively? Let's start by looking at your feedback and on Twitter. At Boni Mukanzi, when it comes to matters security, the Kenyan government still has a long way to go. At Clifford Opatu, it seems someone is not doing his job in the security docket. The government is honestly not doing enough. And at Rono_254, the government should be given some more time to deal with insecurity. Keep sending us your comments and look at them using the hashtag The Big Question. On 22422, Nashera Kodawa from Taveta says no. Instead, the government is displaying a knee-jerk response to security lapses courtesy of a slumbering national intelligence system. In revenge, the government is victimizing innocent citizens. Anyango says yes, this is the most effective way to teach the bandits a lesson. They killed innocent young men. Well, our guests tonight include, on my left, immediate left, TRT MP Asman Kamama. On my right here, immediate right, is James Lominent, Turkana South MP, and Richard Tuta is a security analyst. We also have from Baringo County, Baringo South MP, Grace Kipchoim in the other studio, news studio, with Janet Shield also commenting on what we are talking about here. And I'll start with Kamama, where the news has been coming from lately. Among the leaders who are now calling for the operation to be stopped. Why?
First of all, Mohammed, I just want to say that we really condemn what happened, the killing of our officers. As you all know, I have that background. I used to be a commander when I was a district officer, and rose all the way up to the level of acting district commissioner. So we condemn in every meaning of that word. At the same time, Mohammed, I want to point out the fact that as security agents, security officers, their fundamental role is to protect life and property. But as we speak, what's happening on the ground is actually the opposite. In fact, as we speak, certain provisions of Chapter 4 on the Bill of Rights have actually been suspended during these operations. And that is highly unconstitutional. When you deny people or deprive property, when you actually deny people, block people from getting food, from getting water, from also, destroying houses without methods of compensation, because it's provided for by the Constitution.
Right.
Then you do things that are extra constitutional, that are not constitutional. In this country, is it right for us to do this at the moment? Okay. What we're doing at the moment is that I have worked very closely with elders and the district commissioner to retrieve 21, guns. We have tried, even the government has gone ahead and actually arrested inciters. About, I think, 3 politicians in Baringo. Right. And they're facing the law, full force of the law. So the government has taken action. But what is happening at the moment, we are bitter that the locals are bitter because they are not seeing officers looking for guns. They just come to town, raise the town to rubble.
Although the police are denying this, but according to you, is this bearing any fruits, yes or no, what they are doing right now, the security operation? Is it helping? In
terms of displaying what we call a show of force, of course, when you drop bombs and missiles, and of course shoot people anyhowly, of course it is scary, and of course that deters these bandits from coming closer to towns.
Okay.
But we are not getting closer to the people who killed our officers.
Right. But of course the police again, because they're not here, have been denying what Mheshimiwa Kamama is saying. Let me bring in Mheshimiwa James Lominent, Turkana South MP. What do you think about what he's just said?
First and foremost, I want to thank the government with the action that they have taken. Kenyans have been complaining on the Jubilee government that they are not actually taking the issue of security seriously. But all of last week, the government of Jubilee has confirmed to Kenyans that the issue of insecurity has become a thorn in the flesh of the Jubilee government. And I really support the operations which are taking place in Kapedo, in Baringo. Why? If you kill 22 security officers, one security officer takes care of 450 citizens. So when you kill one security officer, you are threatening the lives, the security of the 450 Kenyans. So for pastoralists who have been having illegal guns, for pastors who have been killing security officers, to them, killing security officers has been a usual business. Yeah? They don't value their lives. So when operation has come, the KDF has come, it is now that Pokot bandits have realized, oh, there is Kenya Defense Force. They thought the last weapon that the security have is the G3. They can kill the way they want. They can threaten the way they want. But for now, since the operations began there has been calm, both in Turkana, both in Baringo, and in Pokot. Okay. And that is what Kenyans expected. Okay. We have not had any raid. We have not had any killing. So it's better. It's better the weddings to delay. Right. It's better for examinations to delay instead of losing lives. Okay.
My friend here, banning of houses, is it legal? Is it in
Can you confirm to Kenyans which houses have been banned? If you bomb a house, you know, it's good to be true to Kenyans. If you bomb a house, how can you bomb a house? How many people have been killed? You know, you are cheating. You are you want sympathy.
Okay. Okay. I want to bring sympathy. I want to bring. I'll come back.
Don't support impunity.
You are looking for sympathy, and you are the chairman of the
I'll come back to a few questions to both of you. Let me bring Richard to talk this.
What I'm realizing from the two is the dilemma that every security agencies always find themselves in. That when you act, you are blamed.
If you don't
when you sit back and watch, you are also blamed. But about what is happening in Kapedo, it is an opportune moment for the government to recharge its batteries of deterrence. Because for a long time, people have been blaming the government that, look, the first killings happened in Baragoi. Okay. Nothing was never done. Another one happened. It kept quiet. But now, depending on how the government is going to act on this. But one thing that I also want to Mheshimiwa Kamama to realize that a security operation is different from a religious crusade or a political campaign whereby you go door to door asking for votes. Okay. Remember, in an operation area, Hussein Mohammed, is an area totally full of chaos. And in this area, there is also something that we call psychological operation, which in a layman's language, they will call it propaganda. So maybe what is coming from Kapedo is just a psychological operation.
Right. We'll come back to that in a short while. Let me bring in...
so you suspend the constitution?
Right. I'll bring in first Baringo South MP Grace Kipchoim, and Janet Bogwa is with her. Janet.
Right, Hussein. So we're listening in on the conversation on this side. Honorable Kipchoim, what do you make of what's been discussed so far? Your thoughts on the ongoing operation on the ground as well.
Thank you, Janet. My first question is to Honorable Kamama. Honorable Kamama has been a member of parliament for the last 10 years. Previously, he has been a district commissioner. He's a DO in a certain, that is his career. When we talk of something that we call operation, I don't know what you do understand. Because an operation means the government full force have gone there. Yes. And this is the time these criminals must face the law. And they've been given sufficient time. The heated debate from the members of parliament from Pokot. You know, my question, Janet, goes is that why is Mheshimiwa Senator Lonyangapo and the other Pokot members come from? Because this is an issue for Baringo and Turkana. And the two senators has been on the limelight. Is it because TRT, there has been GTC and whatever, that they want to hold that TRT as a transact? Yeah. Because you wonder, this is the time, even my own constituency of Baringo South, Janet, from 2005, they have never seen peace. Children have never slept in the houses. Yeah. Janet, I have 13,000 people who are living anyhow. They're IDBs, including my own father.
Okay, so it's about time something is done
It is
to wipe
about
this.
time, and I wish the president is listening.
Okay.
This KDF must continue, and they must be at least given more support by Kenyans.
Okay.
Go to the ground.
Yeah.
Members of the public are just but supporting this thing. Even the Pokot themselves.
All right, we'll come back to you in just a few moments. Hussein, let's throw it back to you.
Right,
and maybe get a reaction on that side from Honorable Kipchoim's views.
Right. Honorable Kamama has there's a question specifically asked to you there.
Yeah.
Where do you come in into all this?
Okay. I just want to say that, just to correct the impression that you painted, that I'm opposed to this operation. I want it done,
But you want it done
with a human face, because we are not in a jungle. We are a country with a constitution.
Right.
And I want to tell you that for this to succeed, we need to do what we call comprehensive and simultaneous operation. Baringo, Turkana, West Pokot, somewhere in a place called Marti in Baragoi, Marti and Nachola. We have over 40 guns, including 2 strong ones, HK-21, HK-11, that are being held by some people in that area. So we want our army to cross, go to these areas and disarm them, because it's not far. Baragoi and Nachola are not far from where we are.
This is a start.
And then do it simultaneously so that everybody is actually disarmed. Me, I support that.
Fine, but this is a start, isn't it?
Yes.
They're starting somewhere.
Yeah.
So why would you have a problem with them starting somewhere?
But they're starting by not looking for guns. They're starting by actually committing crimes of arson. I mean, that is punishable in law.
Okay.
Unless I'm convinced by any law that during an operation, the bill, chapter 4 of our constitution must be suspended.
There's been that argument or from time immemorial. Police are condemned if they don't act. I'm sure you've been among the people coming from all these areas where when there are problems there, you say police are doing nothing by not acting. Now they're acting again, they're being condemned.
Yes. What we want an operation that is intelligence-led, because right now, last year, we actually managed with the district commissioner and the OCPD to actually get about 100 guns through getting the names. But right now, nobody's getting the names. These killers are in those mountains.
You talk about intelligence-led.
Yes.
Do you people as leaders have intelligence in this or know?
All of us, they have their own intelligence, and we have information. Chiefs have information.
So
the locals, and that's why we manage.
Share the information.
That's how we got. That's how we got the 21 guns.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to assure you that unless this operation is comprehensive and simultaneous, when you do an operation in Turkana, or you do an operation in Tiati, and you don't do it simultaneously, what happens? Some people become vulnerable. And let me tell you, gun merchants from all over,
doesn't he have
even
a
from
point,
this Nairobi.
right? Doesn't he have a point with that? I mean, there's a problem in all these areas. And I think Tuta here would really help us with that. If you don't do it simultaneously at all these areas, it may make one area feel a bit, disadvantaged.
And you attract gun merchants.
Yeah, let me start with Honorable Minister.
The government are very right. You must start where the problem began. The problem happened in Kapedo. That is where the 22 police officers were being killed. And here, something that I want to tell my brother Kamama, Honorable Kamama. KDF are professionals. They have many ways of bringing order to their country.
Okay.
They are trained. So one thing that I want to make it clear to the leaders of Pokot and other, you should, then the reason, because what they are saying, the reasons why the 22 officers were killed is because the other ones were killed in Baragoi. How can you correct one right using 2 wrongs? Yeah, it is not true. The issue here,
although I don't believe that is what you...
No, that's what they said in the parliament today. They said in the parliament today. One of the honorable from Pokot said, why is the government...
Do you believe...
Does it support the disarmament of Baragoi?
That's where I'm going. And do you believe...
Let me tell you,
this is intelligence-led, what is going on right now?
I support the operation, the disarmament of actually flashing out all the culprits, be it in Turkana, be it in Samburu, be it whatever. The government should be given its position, its ability to do their work. But there is what Kenyans are really asking, that it is not just bringing guns only. You bring guns back, you bring the uniforms, and you also arrest the people.
Culprits. The culprits. And that is my question. That is my question to you now. Let me ask you that question first, because he's been talking about that. Guns have been brought. We don't have culprits yet. And that is why they are complaining and saying this clearly is not intelligence-led. So why do you still want to support this operation? And number two, and of course, Tuta, I want you to respond to that because you talked about that. We've seen, and not from Honorable Kamama only, but we've seen on TV and in pictures, people crying, women crying, and they're saying they're being targeted, yet they're innocent civilians in these areas. Yet you're saying nobody, or the operation there has harmed nobody.
Let me tell you, Hussein, if you go with that approach of individual, you will not succeed. One thing, or one of the philosophy I want you to understand about pastoralists. Pastoralists do their things communally. And if you want to confirm that, what did the elder tell the president? The elder told the president, yes, we killed, but we are sorry we mistook. We thought these are Kenya police reserve. That's an elder.
So you're saying,
meaning that for you to change these communities, you must do this operation communally. You
collectively.
Must, yes, collectively. For even the mother of the bandit to realize this is wrong. For the father of the bandit to realize this is wrong. For the chief to realize this is wrong.
Is that right?
Yes.
Do you think that is the way?
Hussein, first of all, before I say what, you realize that even a commander, a very junior commander from maybe administration police training college, will not need that high military science to understand that if you are confronted with the two options between going for a command and control center of an enemy and going for his hardware, you will go for the command and control center. But now what Mheshimiwa is saying, that they are diverting the attention. They are saying that we have given back the guns, but the command and control centers are still intact. And these command and control centers, tomorrow very early in the morning, they can still acquire these weapons. And I think the mission command that was given to our forces by His Excellency was that there were two.
There were two, yeah, it was twofold.
Bring the weapons
and bring the culprits.
And bring the culprits.
Okay,
the problem that we are doing
is
now starting to label these culprits, calling them Pokots, calling them Turukanas.
Yes.
When we start calling them names, then we'll forget the big.
I want him to respond directly to that, Honorable Kamama.
Now, actually, we were given these instructions by the president. Phase one is actually getting the guns and the uniform, the way he said. We are getting those ones. But the two guns, by tomorrow we'll have actually brought all of them.
Okay.
This is
which points to something. When you talk about bringing all of them, you're saying by tomorrow.
Yes.
Clearly, then it means you know where they are. And that is why some people may not take you very honestly when you're saying this operation should be stopped.
Yes.
Because if you know where these guns are, then clearly you know where the culprits are as well.
Let me tell you, my brother Mohammed. We have systems. We have the chiefs. We have elders. So when you get this information, from chiefs and elders, what we do is that we deploy the disease security team to using piggies to get those firearms. But in most cases, but in most cases, what they do is that when they hold a baraza, they tell them, please bring these guns to the chief's office. You know, you can't get them. You know, they're also intelligent. Now, the thing is, what you need to do is that get the names again from the chiefs and the elders. Then you go directly to the manyatas. That was our second phase. Go to the manyatas, get them one by one, because they live in different places. Pokos don't live in Gishagis, in manyatas. Yeah, they live in individual homes. So you go one by one to get, because if you don't get,
are you saying if that is the approach
that
should have been taken?
No, we are in that process.
Are you saying then we are sure that they will be given up?
Absolutely. That is what we have planned with the district commissioners and the elders.
By when then? If
Of course, when police officers are given, you don't surrender. They don't just come like this, because it's about, they'll be charged with murder. So what you need to do,
but that's what's supposed to be.
Yes,
but clear.
What you need to do, let me tell you, you actually need to get their places where they live and send officers directly to those places. But when you just roam in town and burning houses, you're not going to achieve anything.
They were given 24 hours to do all these things, and this is not the first time officers are being killed. They were killed in Kalimoro. 4 police officers were killed. They were given time to surrender. They have not surrendered. Those elders were there, those chiefs were there, he was still the chairman. In fact, one thing that I'm saying, with all the respect to Honorable
Kamama, yes.
Just because people from Tiati constituency have really let you down, the first thing you are supposed to do so that the president can trust you is to resign from the post you're having, so that you can have adequate time to go and do whatever things you are telling Kenyans. Because such issues cannot continue in your own constituency. What signal are you sending to the Kenyans? You being in charge of the national security, all the police, and you have said the police force have failed. That means you are there, you have also failed. And it's better to give that opportunity to other Kenyans to chair that position.
Because that is the Turkana politics, the kind of Turkana politics we have with them. Just saying, oh, you must resign. But I don't have a squadron or a brigade or a brigade. I don't have a company or a platoon. The back on those issues stops with the executive. I'm with you in parliament. Do I have a platoon with me? So what you're saying, these are our normal politics.
It's not
so
normal.
You cannot
support politics and then you are chairing.
I have a question for you, Honorable Lemonade. Kindly
politics he normally
does. I have a question for you, Honorable Kamama.
Yeah.
You are also the chair of the National Security Committee of Parliament. First, is there a conflict of interest here? And number 2, this is not the only operation or security operation that has been carried out in the country under your tenure as the National Security Committee Chair of Parliament.
Yes.
You are not against all the rest, yet we had there were problems then in Garissa, for instance, in Tana River, in in Lamu, and citizens, just like what is happening now in Chemolinget, citizens have been complaining, they've been targeted. Why is it about this?
Can I tell you this? I have sent my subcommittees, the officials that I work with, members to Mpeketoni. I've sent them to Mandera. I've sent them to Moyale, and we condemned any touching of houses. But in most of those cases, let me tell you, in Mpeketoni, we were flashing these Al-Shabaabs. And in fact, what happened yesterday, what happened in Nyali Barracks, these were people, they were suspected to be Al-Shabaabs. It's a different template altogether. So what I want, and I condemn.
I understand it's a different. It's very different. But there are citizens who are.
Of course. Yes, I complained. I really complained in both, even in Mandera. And I went there personally.
I'm going to get a reaction from Janet Nashata. But Honorable Lomen, this is a question for you. There was the Baragoi massacre. We had a security operation. Now let's talk as Kenyans, not people of difference in Turkana or Pokot or Somali or Kikuyu or Jalu or anything. We had a security operation in Turkana after the Baragoi massacre. If anything, it should have deterred such a thing from happening again. Now he and some Pokot leaders are talking about intelligence-led operations. The operation then clearly has not deterred what happened the other day. Just 1 week ago, we had 21 police officers again being killed. So why are you still thinking this operation is very important and it should go the way it should go if it didn't deter anything?
This is what I'm saying.
The politicians of
I am saying if the security machineries know where the guns, the 42 guns are, let them go and continue searching those culprits. There is no current politicians in Turkana who is supporting killing of the security. I wasn't there.
We're talking about the effectiveness of this
I'm
operation.
saying that is the role of the government. That is the role of the security, him being included.
Okay.
when he was there. And in fact, something I want to correct. The reason why I'm saying Honorable Kamama to resign, he's using that position to get intelligence from the security officers and feed his people on the ground.
We don't want to go into that unless...
I'm telling you the truth.
Honorable
because we need to
we're not going to go to that unless he provides evidence. You don't need to answer that.
The leaders of Turkana, I know, 3 leaders actually are the ones who stopped from last parliament. They're the ones who stopped that operation. They addressed the press conference.
The chiefs were arrested.
I'm going to cross over to Janet.
So they are the ones who stopped that.
Gentlemen, let's have some decorum. Let's have some decorum here, gentlemen. We're going to cross over to Janet, but Honorable Eminent, please make claims if you're going to provide evidence. If you're not, we're not going to take them seriously. I'm sorry about that. So let's cross over to Janet. There's a comment from there, Janet.
Yeah, Hussein, in fact, Honorable Kipchoim agrees with Honorable Lominen that Kamama should resign. You were nodding in agreement. You believe he should resign as well?
Janet, he should have done it long time ago. Because he has brought a lot of misery to that Baringo. One thing Janet, Mheshimiwa Kamama did is that Baringo South, as to say so, it was Baringo Central, had peace with Pokots all through. We have had no problem. 2005, Janet, Pokot drove Ilchamus community all the way from Mukutani, Kiserian, Rugus, as we are talking. There is nobody who is living in Rugus, that is a location. They have displaced everybody. There is nobody who is living in Arabal. They have displaced everybody, and that is his tenure. At the same time, Janet, they burned houses sometimes 3 months ago in Mukutani that belongs to, it belonged to Ilchamus. No house was burned that belonged to Pokot. And that is somewhere that both communities were living.
And this is all you say and claim happening under his leadership?
And I stuck it. And he cannot talk. When those houses were burned, Mheshimiwa, as the chairman of security, he never retorted anything.
I want to get back to you in just a few moments regarding some of what's been touched on, how the operation has been carried out. But first, let's take you to a story really about this situation. The Inspector General of Police, David Kimayo, has maintained that the security operation in parts of Baringo and Turkana counties to hunt down the killers of 19 police officers at Kasarani near Kapedo will continue until all the suspects are arrested and guns stolen from the slain officers recovered. Kimayo spoke as an MP, and 2 activists went to court seeking an order to indefinitely suspend the ongoing security operation. Michael Njanga has those details.
Despite the hue and cry triggered by the ongoing security operation conducted by the police and backed by the Kenya Defence Forces, the man in charge of the Kenya Police Service, Inspector General David Kimayo, was adamant the security officers would not relent in their request to arrest the suspected killers and recover all guns stolen from the 19 officers killed in the cold blood by bandits. Kimayo says President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive would be enforced to the letter.
The government has come out very strongly. And you saw His Excellency the President committing himself to visit the site and be able to address the public and give them the government position on the issue of one taking the law into their own hands. We should not, at any one given time, encourage our children. Because these bandits or the criminals, they are living among us, the members of the society. They have their own families. And their families knew that these people are going out. And when they came back, they knew that they committed this kind of a crime. Why do we hide under the cover of that? We should be able to expose the criminals.
Kimayo says that the disarmament operation will go on until all the guns are recovered and the firearms in wrong hands are surrendered.
Disobey the law completely. And again, you are harming yourself with an equivalent of another military. Then the only option is for the police to pull aside and allow room for the military to take on another military that is coming. Because that is already a military forming. So, and that is why you see the presence of our KDF there.
This comes even as Kapenguria Member of Parliament Samuel Moroto and activists Felix Kiprono and engineer Pepe Kitamba, as well as Augustine Lorito, moved to court to sue the government over the ongoing operation. In the petition, the four claim that the Ministry of Defense, the National Police Service and the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government have failed to protect residents of areas affected by the security operation and are subjecting them to torture instead.
In fact, the people suffering most are those living along the road and the senders, these upcoming senders. So the area is now completely dead. There is no development, there is no what, caused by our security agents who are supposed to promote economic development in that area, who are supposed to promote even education, so that the people can raise their standards.
The four claim that the military was sent to Kapedo without Parliament debating the issue, a lapse that might lead to gross violation of human rights by the officers.
They should pursue the raiders and leave innocent people. Businesses have been destroyed, houses have been burnt, there is a lot of problems there. People cannot access water, there is no food that can reach that particular place because the KDF have barricaded a lot of roadblocks along the way.
The petitioners therefore want the High Court to issue an order compelling the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Defense and PS, Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government, to indefinitely call off the operation following the human rights violation. The case will be heard on the 17th of November 2014. Michael Njenga, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
And still getting reactions from Honorable Grace Kipchoim. You did say you agree with what the Inspector General was saying in that story there. But let me bring in the factors that have been raised by a section of the leaders as well as those in the other studio. You agree that the operation ought to be carried out. Your thoughts on how it's been carried out with allegations or reports of the people, the women, the children being tortured, being victimized. Your thoughts on that?
Janet, I totally disagree with the brutality. If there is any brutality that's going on, those are people. But what I want to say that the maimers, there is people who are killing others, are children of this community. And if I come to your house and your child is not there, why don't you produce your child or tell us where you are, where this boy has gone? So I believe strongly that these people know where the killers of our policemen are. And they should also assist the government by producing these boys. But if there is any issues of brutality, I disagree.
But you've been hearing them come to the fore and come to the news often, some of these reports. Have you tried to dig in and try to find out if there's any truth to them?
Yes, Janet, I did.
Okay. What did you uncover?
Over the weekend, I engaged with my security team on the ground in Baringo County. And I asked them exactly what's happening. Because if they are doing any brutality to the people, we cannot agree. But what I want to believe is that this is an operation. It is not just going to pick the guns. You are picking the guns from people who are armed. Our KDF also are in danger. So they also ought to take care of their lives. We don't want to lose more askaris there. So, Janet, they must do their operation with a lot of diligence. And they are doing so. I was told what they are doing is very excellent. Whatever, if there is these issues of burning houses, maybe they are doing it because their lives are threatened there.
Okay.
So, Janet, I want to say that the KDF should do operation all round, even in my own constituency. Because these
if it means flushing out the bandits and the criminals,
even
then
if they mean by picking us as members, if we are the people feeling and doing and even supporting these people,
then you should be held accountable.
And be accountable.
Okay, yes. Honorable Kipchoim, we'll come back with more on the big question after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome back amid the operation going on currently. We're asking, is the government handling insecurity in the country effectively? We are coming to the final part of this discussion. And gentlemen, I will urge you now to give us the way forward and how we proceed from here as a nation and in unity. I'll start with you, Honorable Kamam.
Yeah, Mohammed, I think we must face this problem squarely as leaders. For me, I would recommend that very soon, and this is actually in our plans, the Turkana leaders and the Pokot leaders, we need to have a meeting, both the senators, governors, MPs, and get the way forward on this matter. Because somehow we must deal with this issue of disarmament and insecurity, one way or the other, because you cannot mix both. You cannot mix development, or rather development is not compatible with insecurity. So we must choose, if we are choosing the path of development, we must eradicate insecurity. And so we want to sit down and come up with homegrown solution, and also then convince the government that this is the way we want to go. One of the issues is to have something close to what is, last time we used to have the Ministry of Northern Kenya. We can have an affirmative action for the Upper North Rift to deal with these issues, disarmament, development, and doing what will transform lives of these people. Because we must deal with this issue of insecurity one way or the other.
Okay.
Again, we want to recommend that this disarmament should continue, but we must respect the law, the constitution. Otherwise, people will be wondering, did we actually vote for the right constitution, or what really happened?
Okay.
That is one of the ways. Then lastly, we want to recommend that we get Kenya police reservists, especially in Tiati. That has been the problem. You know, some crooks would go and, steal animals in Turkana or Samburu or Tugent. Mechanisms of chasing these people for like 150 kilometers, we need Kenya police service like yesterday. Okay. And this problem will actually be dealt with comprehensively.
Thank you. Yeah. My first recommendation is one, for the Kenya Defense Forces to be devolved in these strategic areas, where the hotspot areas. Right. Instead of staying in Kawa, whatever, let these Kenya Defense Force be taken in hotspot areas. Absolutely. And provide security. Once they are there, these armed communities will actually fear. Secondly, in that process, after putting that strategic deployment of the KDF, they will now gradually disarm these communities. Because the reasons why most of these communities have these illegal guns is because there was not enough security. Once the government takes over by providing this security, there will be no need of these illegal arms. And then the other thing that I will want to advise for the government, for this KDF to get these guns, the guns of the culprits. Most of these culprits have run to West Pokot. They are now along the mountains. They are not there in Kapedo. They are not there. So they should actually try to be in strategic areas to get these culprits.
You should assist the government
finally,
with that information.
They know. Finally, is to ensure Turkana County require adequate security. Why? Soon, this nation will depend on Turkana County. We have oil, we have water. Now, if the citizens of Turkana County their lives are threatened, surely, how will you actually exploit these resources that are there? So that's the reasons why we are saying we need adequate security. We don't, so long as the government provides adequate security to Turkanas and the other Kenyans, we don't need these guns. They will come and take these guns.
Right. Tuta, and as you talk to us about the issue of sharing resources, because there's a need for a holistic approach and development in these areas. How do we go forward? And especially resources that are on the borders between warring communities.
If you'll ask a development expert, one thing he will tell you is that let us develop that place first. But my background, I will tell you, let us provide security first.
Yes.
That security is the foundation of everything else. But one thing that we need to learn from Kapedo, there are two things. One is that I have heard everybody talking about issues to do with human rights in Kapedo. But one thing that people are failing to realize is that even state as constituted has got its own right. And in fact, it is said that if the right of an individual conflicts with the right of the state, it is that right of the individual which should give way to the right of the state. The other thing that we want to look at as regards to Kapedo is that let us reconsider modernizing our police force. Everybody else in the country is talking about reforming the police. That's not the thing. We should modernize it in terms of even equipment, so that every time such like an issue arises, we don't need to deploy the army. The last thing that I want to mention, Hussein, is that I like what Inspector General has just said, because having heard what the politicians are saying, I will conclude by saying, and what I was taught where I was schooling in Israel, that sometimes it does not matter what the Gentiles are saying.
Right.
What matters is what the Jews are doing. Thank you.
Right. We'll cross over now to Janet for the final comment from Baringo South MP, Grace Kipchoim.
That's right, her final comments. And Honorable Kipchoim, I think this question would still be your thoughts on the way forward. You've just been lamenting, saying, you know, in your constituency, schools have been burnt down. There's no nursery school, nothing that's important, especially for children and for the development of your area, is operational. So what are your thoughts on the way forward and how all this can or should pan out?
Thank you, Janet. I want to assure you that for the last 7 days, my constituents are calling me and telling me, actually they have slept for the first time in pairs. So at least in the next 3 years, I will be called to build some nurseries that has been to rehabilitate them because for the last 10 years, actually, Janet, they have never seen peace. My thought on the way forward is that the KDF should continue and to mop out all the illegal guns in the hands of bandits in those areas.
So the government should put its foot down?
Yes, they should put their foot down. And you must know that the complainants always, they will say our lives are threatened or even the human right has been violated. The human rights for the others also, they must remember where their rights are stopping, other people's rights are also there. Okay. So they've been inflicting on the rights of the others every day. They have killed people, they have killed our Askaris. Even in my own constituency, Janet, my OCBD was put on site in April 4th for 8 hours. And when the rescue team came in, they killed 2 Askaris. And how long are we going to lose? Apart from the Askaris, I cannot say. Every man I must bury, somebody was being killed by the bandits.
So it's about time this is...
It is about time these things should happen. And of course, it is painful. But the pain, we have to swallow the bill, however painful it is. So, and it has to happen all around our counties, the counties that are warring counties, the pastoralist counties, like Kipia, because these bandits, they have run to my constituency. They are living in the hills of my constituency.
All right, certainly a story that...
And even others, they are entered to like Kipia, to all those hills. So they must be flushed out.
It is a contentious issue, certainly one that we'll be following. Honorable Grace Kipchoim, MP Baringo South, thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts and shedding some light, and we'll continue to follow it as a developing story. We'll take a short break, then we'll be back very soon on The Big Question as we wind up today's session. Right, that's a look at the news for tonight. Thank you so much for your feedback on a rather contentious issue. But let's now cross over to Hussein Mohammed to give us some feedback on social media on the discussion tonight. Hussein.
Right, let's start looking at what you've been saying on Twitter. At Solidarity007, collective punishment is not the solution to the insecurity.
Okay, and Alexis says, the KDF operations should be spread across the 4 counties prone to cattle rustling.
At 24_nails, it is high time Kenya stop putting all the blame on the government. The question is, what is the normal Monanchi doing to help curb insecurity?
And at F. Muleke says, the government is on the right track in fighting insecurity in the country.
At Julie Gishuru, of course, our own, if leaders know where the guns are, they know who the culprits are, expose them. They must be charged. Bona to Bembeleza.
And finally, at Moses Kiari says, bottom line is that the leaders of these communities know what is happening and should be held accountable.
All right, and I just have to confirm this before I go to 22422 with Monica, my director. That is our Julie Gishuri, isn't it? Okay. No, we have imposters. I just have to be careful. Janet knows that very well. I know that very well. Right, on 22422, we have Ahmed Jafar from Marsabit County. When a government uses its defense forces against its own people for any reason other than humanitarian support and or infrastructural development, then its internal security systems have failed. The returned ammunition must have fingerprints, return guns, that's what he's saying. E. Omolo from Mombasa, government should make use of highly trained intelligence security officers if they seriously want to deal with the security in our country. And Robert from Kitale says, Hussein, we are tired of these lies being perpetuated by politicians. In as much as the guns have been recovered, where are those used by bandits to kill the officers? Unless they surrender the illegal guns, the whole operation is an exercise in futility. Well, thank you very much for your feedback, and thank you for watching The Big Question. I want to say thank you again to my guests, Honorable Ominen, Honorable Kamama, of course Richard Tuta, our security analyst, and Honorable Grace Kipchoge, Baringo South MP. Thank you so much for watching The Big Question. I'm Hussein Mohammed. Have a good night.
I'm Janet Bogo. Once again, thank you for watching and have a good night.